Are talking this morning with CEO of Coalition on Adult Basic Education, Miss Sharon Bonney, about a federal relief fund for adult education. Good morning, Sharon.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Yeah, I feel bad for people who, because of either health reasons or just poor choices as a kid, they ended up not getting either the trade school or the education they wanted, or just didn't even finish high school, and now they're stuck trying to figure out how to support their families. I hate that for them.
I know, and when you think about the population that comes into an adult ed program, you're talking about the aged out of foster care, homeless and runaways, so really traumatic life experiences right at young ages. Mm-hmm. You were talking about people with disabilities who maybe were pushed through school and never got the help that they needed. You're talking about, immigrants who've come here legally, and maybe they were a doctor in their home country, or like the other day when I was talking to my Uber driver who was a rheumatologist in his home country and an Uber driver here. You're talking about people who, once we help them get the skill set that they need, they can become tax-paying instead of taking from the tax base with benefits.
Mm-hmm. I think everybody deserves that shot, but as somebody who had to make it without that education and just have a door open, run through it, get the experience, and then experience counts as education, I kind of got lucky. That doesn't happen for everybody. But I don't want to have to pay for other people to do it. So with this, if this happens, is it on the taxpayer dime?
I mean, it's actually quite the opposite. So when you look at the cost, for example, for people who are in prison, so we also have some corrections education programs, which, by the way, it's a 43% chance that once somebody gets their high school equivalency, they're not going to recidivate, go back into prison. When we look at the cost of prisons, for example, or we look at the cost of Medicare and benefits like this, helping people to get their high school diploma makes sense. They end up becoming tax-paying citizens they have good jobs, they can sustain their family on them. They're also welfare, and they're paying taxes. So it actually is a very inexpensive opportunity for these individuals, and there's a great return on investment. So the biggest reason people come into local programs, there are three. They want to help their children with their homework, so you have that family literacy component. They want to get better jobs because they're working typically multiple part-time jobs or they're on benefits. And they also want to go to community college. And adult basic education does not get funded from the federal government unless they help them get a job or get into community college.
Yeah, and everybody needs to at least graduate high school. I think that's a minimum. Even if you're even if you went to prison, I think that's a minimum.
Right, because studies show that on average, the typical inmate has a fourth grade reading education. Mm-hmm. Fourth grade. Yeah. So when you think about helping them get the high school equivalency, but in general, just thinking about typically on average, you can make over $10,000 more per year once you have your high school equivalency, meaning your high school diploma. And that's because a lot of employers won't even look at you. In our recent survey, 85% of employers won't even look at you without your high school diploma. So just thinking about being locked out of jobs, right? Family-sustaining jobs.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it's ridiculous how high the minimum wage is right now. It's absolutely ridiculous. But these people have to take care of their families. I get that, but choices can be made to go back to school and to get your education and to further it and to learn a trade or get into college. There's help there through FAFSA and a lot of other things. So how does the Coalition on Adult Basic Education help with that? Or do you just stick to the high school equivalency?
Oh, it's so many things. So our organization helps teachers and administrators primarily that are working in these local programs. So there's over 2,300 local programs across the country. Not all of them are federally funded, but about 75% are. And what we do is we provide professional development, advocacy, and communication. We try to help the local programs advocate for themselves about the great work they're doing because they have a phenomenal success rate. So, for example, of the 91,000 individuals that entered a program to get their GED, over 90,000 did. And of those 90,000, over 40% went on to community college, and over 40% immediately entered the workforce. So you have a quick return on investment right there. Yeah. And so we're trying to help them talk about that and how it's not a handout. It's a hand up. And once you get these people into these jobs, they're giving back to the economy right away. Yeah. We actually have a longitudinal study that shows many of these people go on to really good careers where it's a great tax base for their economy. So it's this hidden talent pipeline. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we are the talent pipeline into workforce. There's 7.3 million open jobs, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And there's millions of learners in these local programs. In the local programs, they are mandated to work with the local employers to say, what are the skilled employees that you need? We'll help skill them up for your workforce. I mean, think about that. Yeah. It really is this talent pipeline at the local level.
That's awesome. So, people do want to do better. Most people do. Even if they were horrible children, which I was a very horrible child, as I grew up and had children, I was like, I got to get my turds in a herd here. I got to get it going. And it's scary. It's hard to know where to go. So you have a group of former teachers or teachers just in their spare time who try to help with this?
Oh, so that's a great question. So there's a couple things with adult education because the profession itself is so underfunded. It's about $583 per pupil compared to $10,000 elementary ed, and in Lincoln, Nebraska, $16,500 in elementary ed. So seriously underfunded. Teachers take a pay cut to be in the profession, on average 20% less, just to be there, and typically they don't get benefits. So you're asking people, good people, take a pay cut so you can work in this profession and not have benefits, and then, you have to fight for your job every year for the funding. So it does end up, a lot of people, they can only do this if they retire or they don't need the money, but for most people, they need a family-sustaining job. So this is something we're also talking to Congress about, is why should people take a pay cut to help in adult education? That said, we've been really working hard to professionalize the industry so that people will want to be in there, and it won't just be retired people that are helping out.
Yeah. And, as far as education goes, it really is up to the individual. You can do as much or as little as you want. So do you offer different levels of participation?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yep. So one of the things about adult education that's really unique is we always say adults vote with their feet. A lot of the learners that come in our programs are single parents with multiple jobs and children, and so we try to make the programming itself to work with their scheduling, which is one of the benefits of adult ed, and we have a really great retention rate. But the other piece to this is that we're helping them to get jobs right away, and they know that. And so that is also another piece where it's really helpful. But we provide digital literacy, so helping people learn how to use a computer. Think about single moms maybe reentering the workforce, needing to learn how to use a computer. We also provide ESL, so for legal immigrants that are here, we provide services for them so that they can upskill and get back into maybe the type of job that they had in their home country. And then, of course, the workforce piece, helping them to be able to work on their resume, practice for an interview, and helping connect them with employers, in addition, of course, to the GED classes.
Okay. So how do they get involved with this? Does it cost them anything? Is there an enrollment fee? Do they need to apply for assistance?
So in most cases and places, not in every case, but in most cases and places, it's funded through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. So typically there's not a fee, or if it is, it's like $5. It's very inexpensive because oftentimes like a through line for the individuals coming in our program is poverty. They're coming in typically impoverished. It's non-compulsory. And so when they're coming, it's because they know this is what's going to help them to get their high school equivalency and get a better job.
Yeah. And that is the key. I want people to understand. We want people to get educated. We're already way overtaxed. That's getting a little bit better here in the next couple of years. But if people are uneducated and unable to increase their ability to get a good job, they're not going to pay as high a taxes themselves. They won't have access to benefits that they can participate in and donate to or pay part of. And therefore, they become a drain on society. And if they get this education and they get this job, then they become part of society that helps everybody else get the same chance. So it's a good thing.
Yes, and I mean, I can tell you a very personal example. A woman that I met who a few years back, I want to say 2017, she's a former adult learner, and she was telling me how, and this is, she said it was fine to share the story. I mean, her name is Kimberly Lee, and she was telling me how her mom was not only a drug addict, but a drug dealer, and been in and out of the home. By the time she was 12 or 13, she'd been molested, and she got pregnant. And by the time she was 17, she was homeless on the streets, pregnant with her third child. And thankfully, she heard about an adult ed program. She went there, she got her GED, her children received services while she was there. And she and I became friends, and I was following her on Facebook, and I watched her get her first job, get her first car, get her first house. Her kids are all doing really well in school. And that's because of adult education. I mean, she did her part. She went to the program. They did their part. They helped her. And now she's a tax-paying citizen. She actually is opening her own business. I mean, those are the sorts of things, success stories I think we want to share, because that's very common, actually, that people are able to get off of welfare and get into a family-sustaining job or start their own business.
Yeah, that's a great story. And it's a true story because it can be like that. A lot of people I know came from impoverished families. My family, when I was a little tiny kid, we had 5 kids in a 2-bedroom trailer house. And I drive by it now and I'm like, how in God's name did we fit in that thing?
Right.
You know, and then we slowly got out of it as things got better for our family. It got even better, I'm not going to lie, Sharon, when the older kids moved out because there was room for the rest of us to move. But there was a success story there where out of the 6 kids in our family, 4 of us went on to make something of ourselves. 2 chose to continue to kind of be slugs. But, you know, there was the opportunity there, and you got to run through those doors.
Yes, that's right. Not only that, you know, it's really interesting because we've been doing this alumni longitudinal study, which is looking at the learners, and like 95% of them, and we're talking about the study goes over years, 95% of them go on to really good jobs.
Yeah.
And so I think the through line to me is these are people, it's non-compulsory, that they could just sit on welfare, but no, they want to go, they want to get their high school equivalency or learn to speak the language or learn to use a computer, and they want to get a better job. They want their families to do better. You know, there's a 72% connection, too, between a mother and the children's literacy level. So if the mom is focusing on literacy, the children will. And you see that. I mean, I've worked in the school system. You see it runs in families. When parents care, the kids are there on time. They're doing well in school. When the parents don't care, that affects the kids. So when we're helping these parents become literate, we're helping the whole family.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So how do people learn more? We have about a minute left.
Great. They can go to www.coabe.org. It's COABE.org. We're also on LinkedIn, X, Instagram. We started a recent TikTok account. They can check us out there just talking about adult education.
Okay. Everybody, if this sounds good to you, take advantage of it. A hand up instead of a hand out is basically what we're talking about here. And I would like for everybody to do that because I really hate handing out what I've earned to people who don't deserve it. Hate it. Sharon Bonney, CEO Coalition on Adult Basic Education. Educate yourself, get a better job, feel better about yourself, and remember, if they didn't give it to you, they can't take it away. Sharon, thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Sharon Bonney, CEO Coalition of Adult Basic Education. Make sure you do check them out if you are in need of furthering yourself in your educational stature. Make sure you at least get your high school equivalency, and from beyond that, you can decide if you want to take it further. It's up to you. Everything in your life you do is up to you. The choice is yours. Nobody is being held down by the man. Nobody is being told you can't. It's the voice in your head telling you you can't. So if you want to do more, be more, make it happen.